She crashed her car on a quiet New Hampshire road. A neighbour spoke to her. Police arrived less than 10 minutes later. Her car was still there. Her belongings were still inside. But Maura Murray was gone. No footprints in the snow, no signs of a struggle, no witnesses seeing her leave. In the time it takes to microwave dinner, a 21-year-old college student vanished without a trace, and nearly 20 years later, no one knows how. On February 9th, 2004, Maura Murray was driving north through Haverhill, New Hampshire, when her black Saturn slid off Route 112 and crashed into a snowbank. It was a cold winter night. The road was dark and surrounded by trees. A local resident noticed the accident and stopped to check on her. She appeared shaken, but not severely injured. She declined help and insisted she had already called roadside assistance. The neighbour found that strange, given the poor cell reception in the area, but he left to contact police anyway. Within 7 to 10 minutes of that 911 call, a police officer arrived at the scene. The car was locked. The airbags had deployed. The windshield was cracked. Inside the vehicle were her books, clothes, and some of the alcohol she had purchased earlier that day. A rag was found in the tailpipe, but Maura was nowhere in sight. There were no clear footprints leading into the woods despite fresh snow on the ground. It was as if she had simply stepped out of reality. Maura was 21 years old. She was intelligent, athletic, and ambitious. She had once attended the United States Military Academy at West Point, before transferring to the University of Massachusetts to study nursing. Friends described her as driven and competitive. Her family described her as caring and funny. She stayed close with her siblings and kept in touch regularly. Nothing about her personality suggested she was preparing to disappear forever. Yet earlier that same day, she had sent an email to her professors claiming there had been a death in her family and that she would be gone for the week. There had been no death. She packed some of her belongings, withdrew nearly all the money from her bank account, and bought several bottles of alcohol. Surveillance footage showed her calmly using the ATM. After that, she left campus and began driving north. Investigators later discovered she had searched for directions to locations in Vermont and New Hampshire, but she had told no one where she was going. At 4:30 p.m., she checked her voicemail. That was the last confirmed activity on her phone. Roughly 3 hours later, her car was found crashed on that rural road. Between 4:30 and 7:27 p.m., something happened. Whether it was an accident, a decision, or an encounter, those missing hours remain a mystery. When search teams arrived, temperatures were below freezing. Snow covered the area. If Maura had wandered into the woods, there should have been tracks. Tracking dogs were later brought in and followed her scent for about 100 meters along the road. Then the trail abruptly stopped in the middle of the street. That detail has never been fully explained. Some believe it suggests she entered another vehicle. Others argue weather and time could have disrupted the scent. But the image is chilling. A trail that simply ends. Over the years, 3 primary theories have emerged. The first suggests Maura chose to disappear voluntarily. Supporters of this theory point to the email about a death in the family, the withdrawn cash, and the alcohol purchase as signs she may have planned a temporary escape. Some speculate she was overwhelmed by academic pressure or personal struggles. But there has never been a confirmed sighting, no use of her social security number, no financial activity, and no verified communication from her since that night. Completely starting over without leaving any trace is extraordinarily difficult, especially in the modern world.
The second theory is that she became disoriented after the crash and wandered into the wilderness, where she died from exposure. February nights in New Hampshire are brutally cold. Hypothermia can set in quickly, especially if someone is injured or impaired. It is possible she panicked and ran into the forest to avoid potential legal trouble. However, extensive searches were conducted over the years, including aerial searches, ground teams, and trained dogs. No remains or personal items definitively connected to Maura have ever been found in the immediate area. The third theory involves foul play. This is the scenario many find most troubling. Route 112 is not a major highway, but vehicles do pass through. If someone offered her a ride during those few unaccounted minutes, that person may have been the last to see her alive. The fact that her scent appears to end in the roadway supports the possibility that she entered another vehicle. Her case is now listed in the FBI's VICAP program, which monitors violent crimes and suspicious disappearances. Authorities have not publicly confirmed a homicide, but they have acknowledged that her disappearance is suspicious. Maura's family has long expressed frustration with aspects of the initial investigation. They believe the first 24 hours were critical, and that more could have been done to preserve the scene and expand the search immediately. Her father fought for access to investigative records, taking legal action in hopes that transparency might uncover new leads. Some documents were released, but many were heavily redacted. The case remains officially open. Over the years, there have been moments when hope briefly resurfaced. At one point, cadaver dogs alerted to an area in the basement of a nearby home. Authorities excavated the location, and the family prepared for devastating news. Nothing was found. In 2021, human remains were discovered about 25 miles from the crash site near Loon Mountain. Again, the family waited anxiously. DNA testing later confirmed the remains did not belong to Maura. Each lead has ended the same way. More questions. What makes this case so haunting is how ordinary it began. A single car accident, a brief conversation, a short window of time, and then complete silence. No confirmed witnesses saw her leave. No security cameras captured her walking away. No evidence clearly shows what direction she went. In less than 10 minutes, she disappeared. Maura Murray would now be in her early 40s. Her mother passed away without ever knowing what happened to her daughter. Other family members have also died during the long wait for answers. Her father continues to speak publicly, refusing to let her case fade. For nearly 2 decades, people across the country have asked the same question. Did she run? Did she freeze? Or did someone on that dark New Hampshire road take advantage of a vulnerable moment? Somewhere, someone likely knows more than they have said, and until the truth comes out, Maura Murray remains missing.